episode 30. So you guys, last episode saw that I blew up the rear axle pretty good, did a good job of that. It's been about 10 days or something, I'm not sure right now. But I've been doing some customer stuff. Got the Holley sniper on this sweet 70.5 Falcon. Thing runs like a dream. It's the cream dream. And a few other jobs here and there. I can't even remember. I'm going to look at a lobster boat tomorrow with like a 700-inch nitrous motor on it. The guy's trying to set the record for mile per hour in a lobster boat. So all kinds of crazy stuff going on. I did get the I had originally ordered a 390 gear to replace the 373 gear that was in Ron Burgundy. Richmond only offers that 390 gear in what they call a street gear. They have a street gear and they have a pro gear. The street gear is a more brittle, hardened gear set made for the street, and the pro gear is a little softer to be able to handle the trans brake application. I guess they don't want you to use the softer pro gear on the street because it's gonna just have a lot of decel and acceleration and bumps and everything else. So it's could be maybe more malleable, I guess. Anyway, we got that 411, which is the longest ratio pro gear that Richmond makes. Mosquito. Which is gonna really smarten that thing up. It's gonna smarten Ron Burgundy right up in the first 300 feet. That thing is gonna we'll see what happens. You guys are gonna learn with me. I think it's gonna be the right move. I think it's gonna be a little aggressive with the 180 first gear. I think I'll have to use the ignition launch retard and just creep up on it like we were doing in the last video. So that's that. I got the pinion depth and the backlash set, and it all looks good. It's got the best pattern I could get out of it. It's not perfect, but it should work fine. I am waiting on some synthetic diff fluid that I ordered a couple days ago. So I think what I'm going to do is silicone the diff cover on, let that stuff set up, that silicone harden up a little bit before I get that fluid in there. And then I'm going to lower the car down, and I'd like to do a compression test just to be safe. Pull the plugs, check them all out, make sure nothing happened when we push some water. The front coilovers right now are at AFCO, getting the rebound tightened up on them because they're too loose even on full tight. So I actually have to call Ben over there at AFCO right now and try to get an ETA out of him on when I will have those back, because I really would like to test on the 17th next week, Friday night at Oxford. Oh, also, the second part of this video might be on my new GoPro. I got the GoPro 10 here with some accessory stuff, and I did that because the 7 is great. That's what I've done all my videos with so far. But I thought, maybe let's step up to the 10, get some more clarity, and a little bit easier to control. I have like a little remote for it and stuff, so I don't have to be reaching over and trying to turn it on when I'm in the car. And now I can use this GoPro, the Hero 7 Black, which is in my hand, and I can put it under the car and like get some video of the suspension working. Okay, got the GoPro 10 going, man. This is crazy. Just to show you guys where I'm at with it, I pulled the headers off and pulled the plugs out and did a dry cold compression test, and they're all about on my gauge 90, which seems low, but that's also what the Falcon over there in the other bay tested as last week. So I think maybe my gauge is this low. They're all consistent, which is good. I did drop some oil down into a couple cylinders and retested, and they popped up to like 125, 130. So it's definitely on the low end. Those Summit racing pistons are dished. But I would have thought it had been higher than that. So maybe the gauge is off, maybe it's not. I guess when you're doing a compression test, you know, anyways, you just are looking for a trend to have one cylinder be low. So we're looking good as far as consistency. All the spark plugs look pretty good. It doesn't look like I had any exhaust leaks on the header gaskets or the V-bands where the headers go into the hot side. So I was going to retorque the heads. I don't know that I'm going to now because I looked at the logs and the cap, the cap rating on the radiator was 17 psi, and it was consistently like a little bit over that, and I guess that's from having the sensor in the cylinder head, not in the radiator. So and also where the cap seats down inside the radiator, it was pretty dirty in there. Like it wouldn't seal. I tried to put my pressure tester kit on there and it was leaking at like 15 pounds. So I got in there with some, it's like a Scotch-Brite pad, and cleaned up the radiator neck where the rubber surface on the cap meets the radiator. And now it's been holding 20 psi for, I don't know, like 30 minutes now. And it's, you know, it's not leaking down any. I don't see any drips or anything from anything, so I think we're pretty good. I was going to retorque the heads. I don't think I'm going to now. I think my plan is going to be that now that I cleaned that where it was leaking, the cap was leaking, I'm going to run this 17 to 19 pound, I'm sorry, 19 to 21 pound Moroso cap and get the street tires on Burgundy and register it and get some street miles in and see what the coolant pressure sensor says when I'm cruising around. Kind of get a baseline. And then I do have another one of those caps that's rated for 31 to 33 pounds. And maybe I'll bring that one with me to the track and we can kind of decide if I need to pull the heads or not. And just go from there. I don't want to pull the heads yet because I'm not sure that the gaskets are not sealing. I think I fluttered one of them when we had that weird high boost, wicked low RPM and no timing scenario. I think it collected itself after that and it was okay. And I hopefully am right. I got the rear tires on there. Ice cream tires. They are 275/60, but they look like they're like 26s for some reason. Probably because they're just half mutilated, but anyways. My gear oil did not come. I thought it was supposed to come today. It looks like Friday, I guess. Which, oh, that's tomorrow, so that's not a big deal. But my package that did come in had my roll bar padding in it, so I'm putting that on right now. This is a Jazz brand, and it's good for 1 inch to 1 1/4 inch tube. So I'm putting one piece on each side right here on these bars. This is supposed to be adhesive. I took the paper out, but as soon as I leaned on this side to measure that side, it popped right off. So now I have 2 cable ties on there to hold it on there. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. And then I did get some 1 5/8 size padding, and I'm gonna do just right here on both sides, I think, and then I'll be all done. Maybe do this part too for my shoulder or whatever, I guess. We'll see how it fits in there. All right, got the fluid in the diff, got the diff cover on, and I just spun it up, and I have reverse and low and high and park and neutral. So that's awesome. I think the trans is okay. The engine seems to be running smooth still. But I looked under the car when it was in drive, and this thing has a bend in it. So where I'm at now is I'm trying to find out. I don't think I can straighten it. I think that that's not an option really with an aluminum shaft. Maybe it is. I'm still kind of on the hunt with an answer for that. So I might be switching to chromoly. I might be straightening this one. I don't know. It's got like 70 thousandths of run out on it, so it's kind of a lot. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'll update you guys as soon as I know more. All right, I wanted to show you guys the drive shaft. Not that you can see that it's out around just by me turning it by hand, but I did just put the dial indicator on it. And right here, about, I don't know, 9 inches in front of the U-joint center, it's 25 thou of run out. And then more towards the middle, we got 60 thou. And then I would imagine as it goes forward, it kind of tapers back down. So what I'm gonna try to do is run up the road to this guy that's nearby. He's got a machine shop. I'm gonna see if he has any V-blocks that I can set the drive shaft in and use some torches and see if I can straighten it a little bit. If I can't, then whatever. I just would like to be able to street drive it maybe with this drive shaft just to see if the transmission's okay. While I wait for my PST chromoly drive shaft that I just ordered, which is probably going to take a week and a half or so. So I'd like to get a couple more answers on the drive line, the transmission, the engine stuff before I just get that PST drive shaft fired in there and go to the track. So I'm going to run up the road and see if he's got some V-blocks. All right, I just ran down across the street and he wasn't home, so I ran to the hardware store and I grabbed some bearings and I whipped up these V-blocks. Is that what they're called? I can't remember now. Yeah. And I can spin this thing. It's out of balance because the yoke doesn't want to cooperate. But at any rate, I can tell that it's almost like it has a bend here and a bend somewhere over here that are kind of opposing. So I'm not even going to take a stab at trying to straighten this thing with the torches. I'm just going to hang it on the wall. Maybe I'll blast the slip yoke off of it so I can save it or whatever. I'm sure it's fine, but we got some real light scratches here from where the first 2 passes, well, the very first pass, it was rubbing the a floor brace in the shutdown because it's real bumpy at Oxford. I have since relieved the floor of that notch, or of that floor brace with a notch. So I got all kinds of room now, but it was right here. It was rubbing the floor, or the drive shaft was hitting the floor there. At any rate, a guy named Ron reached out to me in an email from PST to go over the drive shaft and the dimensions and everything, and they're gonna have it done the next couple days and ship it to me, so that's sweet. This one, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I guess I'll just leave it out for now. I was gonna move it around the yard maybe with it, but I don't even think it's worth it. All right, I don't know who needs to hear this, but you gotta retorque your beadlocks, boys. I'm on the back of my second one now, so I'm almost done, but these are, you know, about probably an 1/8 turn loose. That one was a little more, but I'm supposed to do this after you mount them the first time and torque them the first time. Should be doing it like after your first couple runs, I think. I waited a little bit. I had 5 passes on these, but you can see they definitely backed off. Not backed off, but, you know, loosened up. The bead seated in there a little better. I'm just checking off some stuff while I wait for the drive shaft to come and the front coilovers. I did get a call yesterday from AFCO, and they said that they were all set and that I can start at the rebound setting of -10 from full tight. So those are on the way back. My drive shaft should be probably getting wrapped up today or tomorrow, and I'll be putting that in. And then I need to do, the diff has no vent, so that's probably why it's leaking some fluid. I didn't realize that the vent was plugged. It has a pipe plug in the hole. So I don't know why that is, but we're gonna take care of that right now too. Okay, I know most of the people watching this channel probably know you have to have a diff vent, but if you don't know the reason why. It's because when your fluid and the air inside the diff, because this is all sealed right now, because for whatever reason there's a plug right here. When that fluid and that air heats up, it expands, and when it cools off, it would then obviously have like a vacuum effect probably on the diff. So it's just going to constantly push and puke fluid out of the seals and whatever else it can get out of. So I'm going to take this plug out of here. I noticed this when I had the diff cover off, that there was a hole in the tube that went up, and I was like, where the heck does that go? And then I was looking at it, also trying to find a vent on this thing because there wasn't one. And then I saw this. So I think that this goes, I'll put a hose barb on it, and then we will, actually, you know what, this is a breathable plug, but it looks like it's pretty well clogged up here. It's one of those mesh screen things. So I'm going to put a hose barb on it with a line that goes, you know, up to the top of the frame rail or something. That will breathe a lot better than this. This looks like it's plugged full of like diff fluid gunk and road gunk, so that's probably why my seals were leaking a little bit, even though I just replaced them. Got my little barb on there now. And I went through this phase at the junkyard one time, and I just took like diff vents with those little like valves on the ends of them, and I just got like a dozen of them because you can't buy these things. They're not online, I'm pretty sure, and they're like you have to have them. So I snipped a bunch off of like trucks and Jeeps and everything else when I was there. So I'm gonna take this out and put on a smaller hose, like a little silicone hose, and just plumb it to that hose barb. There we go. I decided not to go super long because there's not really any point. I'm not, you know, dunking this thing in a mud bog or nothing. Put that on there. There. That's good enough. Should be fine. It's kind of hitting the control arm a little, but it's all right. Okay. On to the next thing. All right, guys, I'm just taking a moment here to check out my, from the track data logs, the dome pressure versus what I was actually getting in the manifold. And it's better than I thought. For some reason I was thinking that I was commanding a lot of dome and I wasn't actually getting there with boost. But it looks better now that I've graphed it out here. So we at 0 on the dome, we have a 10-pound spring in the wastegate, so it just makes 10, and you know what I mean. And then if I add 5, it makes 15. If I add 10 pounds on the dome, it made like 17 or 18. So this first jump here is pretty steep, and then after that it kind of rides this angle where it's pretty linear. I don't know where it is going to go when I start commanding for, you know, over 30 pounds of boost, but that precision's definitely doing some work. And the other thing I was worried about was when I was at the track at Winterport for the no time race, I was adding dome pressure, but I wasn't gaining mile per hour, and I figured out why. Most of it was because well, my last 2 runs I didn't gain anything, and that's because that the last run didn't gain on the one before it. So my 5th pass was slower than my 4th one because we had that weird issue with the fuel pump. It wasn't weird, I just didn't have a fuse in the fuse holder, and it was the first time that we needed it. So I wanted to show you guys on the log here. Let me get rid of this staging output. Where is it? Right here. So let's see, I can also get rid of, I don't need the trans brake really. I guess that's pretty good. Yeah, let me make this ignition timing read lower, -20. There we go. So, get this glare off the screen here. Well, not really, I guess. Basically, right here is where I let go of the trans brake, 0 seconds. And at 2 seconds in, everything was looking good. Looked pretty good. And then at, you see this big drop in RPM right here. That is because fuel pressure, which is this yellow line, you can see it's good here and then it starts to fall off. And that's because that second fuel pump did not turn on. So what that did was made the Holley closed loop take off. It was like, we're dropping fuel pressure, I need to add duty cycle. I need to add closed loop compensation. So when that was just about as low as fuel pressure got that run, the closed loop was almost 30%. If I go in my tune and I go to my advanced tables that I set up, I have this, I was calling it a lean protection. I'm gonna have to change this now, but at 26% closed loop, I'm just now starting to pull timing because I was like, if it's over that, then something's wrong. So it started pulling time. Right there, it's pulling almost 3 degrees of timing. And if we keep going on the log, say from 2 seconds to 2.4, now look where we are. We're all the way down here. We're at almost 25% of closed loop compensation. I'm sorry, wait. No, we're at 50% down here. We're pulling almost 25 degrees of timing. So that did not work as a good safety. I mean, it didn't go lean. Like if you look at my AFR, it just goes rich actually. It does not go lean, even though the fuel pump was not on and the fuel pressure was down. It pulled so much timing down. If we look at timing, it's this purple line right here, that at its lowest, it was -13 degrees of timing, which is horrendous. It also pulled RPM down to 3,800, and we had 25 pounds of boost at 3,800 with negative timing. I'm pretty sure that's why it pushed water out, and I'm pretty sure it's not ever going to do that again, so I don't think I need to address the gaskets. I'm hoping, I'm crossing my fingers. I'm putting a heavier pound spring on the radiator cap, and we're going to fix that table so it does not do that anymore. And we also have a fuse in the second pump, so that's going to work. And it shouldn't ever do that again. But so why it didn't gain any mile per hour was because it did that once right here at, from 2 seconds in to 3.5, it was pretty much shutting the engine off. And then again at 4.25 seconds, pretty much till I let off, it was running 25 pounds of boost with 4 degrees of timing, which is laughable. I mean, that is just fucking stupid. So that's why we didn't gain any mile an hour. The thing was probably making 500 horsepower. So when I fixed that, we got that nice linear graph going on. The precision turbo is working good. We're just gonna do a good clean pass. I'm probably gonna target, like, I didn't target between 11 dome and 20 dome. So I'm going to probably start at like 15, which should equal about 20, low 20 pound boost range. And the car should go, I think it should go like 123 or 125 miles an hour on that boost. And if it doesn't push any water, awesome. I'll turn it up. So yeah, that's where I'm at, you guys. I'm just kind of going over some logs, looking at some of the data, kind of trying to get a feel for what I'm going to put in it for a tune-up the next time we're out, which is hopefully within the next week and a half. Yeah, so stay tuned for that content and get her done. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks for watching.